and I'm still kind of giggling to myself right now because I was literally just chased away by the sun in my last video. I was recording at my desk and just doing a, well, not a quick update, but an update on my collection cull since the last video that I shared earlier this year. And now I wanted to just give a bit of a preview of the decks that I am going to be working with eventually in August, because as I mentioned in my last video, I am going to be returning stateside soon and tending to family there. And so I will be returning to the decks that I keep at my mom's house, as I've shared in previous videos. I keep a copy of Lightseers, Tarot of the Abyss, and now the Somnia Tarot. And then Oracle decks are Sacred Rebels Oracle and the White Light Oracle. And that's actually my only copy of the White Light Oracle. I don't have a duplicate of that here yet. So I look forward to working with that one more, because that one was newer to me in the spring when I was visiting there. And I really enjoyed what I was getting out of it at the time. I think just coming back here and having so many other decks to choose from, I didn't feel like an absence. I felt like there were other Oracle decks that could take its place. So yeah, I probably won't be duplicating that one, but I do highly recommend it. It's quite powerful, especially for larger, higher consciousness type readings, if you're really elevating something to a soul level versus like a mundane day-to-day type advice reading. But ultimately, when I am back in town, first tarot deck, the Urban Tarot. Got this one quite a while ago, and for some reason I like to bring it out in the summer. It makes me feel New York summers. I can smell the steam coming up from the subways on a really hot, humid New York summer day. My husband lived in the city for a time while we were dating, and so I visited there a lot. And yeah, so I don't know. There's just something about summers that make me want to bring this one out. As you can see from some of the titles, the dancer, the creator has come up with some of those, but there are others that are Thoth inspired. So this deck does give its nod to the Thoth system, while also containing elements of RWS. Now, I have not studied the Thoth system, so I couldn't say how many of these titles are in keeping. I know that some, though, are just this artist's edition, like The Activist, The Gourmet Chef, and you can see incorporates, or can you see? Ugh, maybe not. It's a bit too light on here, but the symbols for the elements appear at the top of these cards. And they come this way. Like, I did not trim this. There is only the white border at the top and the bottom. But anyway, as I was saying, there are titles that the artist has added. For the court cards, it really gives an essence of, you know, the type of personality that court card is representing. Like how my Queen of Cups, my significator, she's, oh, does not show up. Anyway, it says the therapist. And you can see you're in the point of view, sitting on the therapist's couch. And you've got the presence of the water element in the water glasses. I like that. For Prince of Cups, they have the filmmaker. And I just love that framing with the hands, you know, just having that vision. I thought that was very clever. But yeah, so I flipped through a bunch of those and getting to that, but I mean, if that doesn't scream summer, I don't know what does. I've seen lots of kids running around topless, even in London. We had a scorching summer, so That's what the kids do. They just strip down. And I get rather jealous of that, but it has since cooled down. Oh, I love this. This is, well, using the Thoth title, art, RWS, it's temperance, and you actually see she has spray painted the temperance image from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck on that building. But yeah, so it's got a very urban, gritty feel to it, which can be a bit darker, but it also just feels very real. And it feels like a nice go-to for the later part of the summer, because whereas before, at the beginning of July, I was sharing my decks that just made me feel like light and bright and put me in a good mood. Like that's when the days were still at their longest in the summer. And so now getting into the later part of August when I'll be working with this, the daylight has already started diminishing, right? And so there is just that different feeling that you get towards the end of summer than you do at the beginning. Like there's still so much possibility at the beginning of summer. There's still so much growth outside, but now the spring green has darkened, and it has been so scorching that leaves have dried up and been falling on the ground already, and grass is turning brown, and again you see that angle of the sun shifting and getting darker earlier. And well, in the UK the students have only just gotten out of school because their summer's only 6 weeks long here, but I know in the States, you know, by late August, kids are going back then. And so then there's that whole, like, instead of that freedom of being unleashed at the end of school, now it's that back to school feeling, and it almost starts to feel like autumn again, no matter how sunny and hot it still is outside. And so it's that darker side of summer, I guess, and that's captured in this deck. So one that I like to pair it with a lot, another contemporary tarot, very modern in feeling, also with a bit of an urban vibe, if I can get it out of its bag. The Fountain Tarot. Another one I don't work with a whole lot, but I like to bring it out if I'm working with the Urban Tarot, especially because they just complement each other in assorted ways. And I apologize that I'm not doing this top down at my tarot table. I was just so like viscerally struck by this reading yesterday that I just kind of need a minute, you know? And so I'm leaving it intact for the time being. It was that powerful that I don't even want to like clear it off and just reset it up later. I want to leave it exactly as it was laid down at the time. But enough of that. So you're going to have to bear with me. I'm so sorry for holding these up, trying to like show what they look like together. But again, they share a contemporary feel. I think the color palettes work together. They also have the white borders that look very nice together. They're still quite different from each other though, in that where the Urban Tarot feels very rooted in the mundane, very day-to-day, very real life, like on the streets of New York, in what is clearly meant to be a Starbucks. The Fountain Tarot, while you have these like realistic depictions of people, they're not in the most realistic of settings. They're kind of taken to a more abstract place. They might be doing mundane things, and now was it Lisa Pepez? I'm going to blame Lisa Pepez for saying that this looks like Gordon Ramsay, because now I can't unsee it. So every time I look at this, yeah, I see a chef at work. So the people can like still look like they're engaged in day-to-day things, but they're just taken out of the real world and elevated to this more abstract place. And I feel like if I keep going on at length, I'm just going to keep repeating the same words over and over again because my words are not matching my thoughts today or able to articulate very well. But hopefully you understand what I mean. So basically what that does is it makes for a nice contrast in a reading to have. I always like to have a deck that kind of represents like where I am at in my day to day, what I am conscious of, complemented by another deck that represents my higher consciousness, like my elevated self and kind of like the bigger picture of what's going on in my life, the more spiritual side of it, perhaps. So these two work really well like that. I mean, we've got a guy in a bathroom stall in this one, and then this guy I couldn't even tell you where he is. Still a person, still a recognizable and relatable human being, and his struggle and work efforts here are real, but like how you interpret the rest of this artwork just takes it to like another space where it just feels like here on earth and here on another plane. So very as above, so below. And yet this still can give the essence of like corporate offices there. So you get these nods, but it's almost like maybe making it a bit more like liminal. It does feel like it still has like its foot in the door of the real world, but then kind of taking it into that other sense of reality too. And where I feel the heat from this deck, it feels like that hot New York summer, and especially when, late summer feels so hot because everything has been baked. It's had time for the sun to be shining on the pavement and retained there. So it just holds on to that heat. But then the Fountain Tarot comes in and kind of cools things off a bit with its color palette. And I don't feel like this deck is cold. There is a warmth to it, but there is a relative coolness to it that can offset the heat of the other deck. So with both of these decks, when they are at the tarot table, they are going to be accompanied. I don't know if this bag is giving any kind of hint what I might be pairing with them. Urban Crow Oracle. MJ Cullinane, one of her creations. As I shared in previous videos, I was working with her for Hoxa Tarot earlier this year. Absolutely loving it. It was just so, when spring had sprung, basically, and there's just all of that new growth and things still burgeoning, just the lushness of that deck just really captured how I was feeling at that time, and bringing in that Fae energy. Oh, I just really loved it. But yeah, again, now as we're getting to where, okay, everything is grown, and now we're like, we've taken that turn towards the decay, and where before we know it, it's going to be autumn and everything is going to be drying up and falling off if it hasn't already from just the sheer heat. But aside from being, the Urban Crow Oracle, going with the Urban Tarot, I mean, the names just go together well, set in different cities perhaps, but I like that I can have a city populated with people in this one and then bring in the animal world with this one, but still in that urban setting. And again, just the colors and even the textures of this artwork, they just really look beautiful together. And I always love to bring in an oracle card. I'd love to get that keyword in there and add another voice to everything. And if there is anything that's maybe seeming a little vague in a reading, it just gives me like an anchor to hold on to help me put things in context. Oracle decks can very easily go to that very positive, sunny, affirmative place, and here you've got crows smoking cigarette butts. Okay, they're not smoking them, but they're picking them up, and it's kind of like a crappy part of their existence living in the city, that they're trying to find food, sustenance, and instead they're finding this litter that's not going to give them any nourishment. And then you see influence. And so it already just paints a picture of there can be positive influences in life, but there can certainly be negative ones as well. And if you're under the influence, kind of speaks to, with the cigarettes and the bottles, speaks to a bit of like substance abuse and the influence we humans have on nature, that this is how these animals thrive now in these environments because we as people can't keep it clean. So there's a nice balance of light and dark. So I feel like this oracle is a real truth teller. It will have you confront the heavier things along with the light. That's nice. Bond. But yeah, I don't know what more to say on this. It's the urban setting and just the artwork and the human and animal kingdom colliding. I just love it. So yeah, stunning, stunning, stunning with the urban tarot. But it's not too shabby with the fountain tarot either. So I think that paired with either tarot deck individually, or if I am doing spreads incorporating both of the tarot decks and then bringing this in, all three of them together, can make for some interesting messages. 3 different voices. I look forward to hearing what they have to say. So I could go on and on and on with that. I will show one more random grab here and then be on my merry way with it, because I know it is not ideal to have to be looking at them as I'm holding them up like this. I think you get the idea. And yeah, so those are going to be my August tarot table pairings once I'm back in town. So I will be taking a bit of a hiatus. I'm not going to be posting videos weekly just because out of town. I just want to be able to give my full attention to my family while I'm there. So until next time, though, thank you if you joined me here. If there's anything in my back catalog of videos, I've only been doing this for a few months, but there might be something there that you haven't seen yet. So feel free to look at one of my older videos in my absence, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your summer. If you have any remaining holiday plans, have the best time. If you're getting your kiddos prepped for school again, good luck with that. I hope they get off to a great start. And without further ado, bye!